specialized and focused training for ICAC staff of the Education and Prevention Department. And the core group, which is here, 30 of you, who would be fully trained in the area of corruption risk management, will be called upon to further act as trainers and interact with all of our stakeholders. The main objective behind this training program is to enhance our skills in corruption prevention, more particularly in corruption risk management, which has emerged as an essential tool to identify and analyze corruption risk in the implementation of measures to mitigate the potential risk in the systems, procedures, and practices of both public and private sector organizations. Organizational integrity cannot be compromised. Controls which are implemented at any point in time may not always prove to be effective over time. We all know that human behavior, attitudes, and mindset do change. Each organization needs to understand its own context and its own risk exposures to be sure that the existing risk management strategies or controls it has in place are appropriate and effective. With the implementation of the public sector anti-corruption framework, we are facilitating and supporting the idea of corruption risk management being fully integrated in the management framework of all public bodies. As at date, at ICAC here in Mauritius, we have conducted around 113 corruption prevention reviews in Mauritius and Rodrigues and made over 2,200 recommendations to public bodies. And on average, we are more or less satisfied to note that 75% of these recommendations have already been implemented.
Un corruption prevention review, c'est un exercice que ban officier prévention al sur place analyse ban système, ban procédure, ban pratique pour que écoute s'il y a assez de transparence, assez accountability, assez fairness. Alors, tout ça ban loopholes là, une fois identifiés, là nous analyse ban loopholes et faire ban recommandations pour améliorer le système. Et là, il y a un élément important qui nous fait, c'est corruption risk management. Dans n'importe quel domaine, nous avons un coup qui ban risque de corruption qui est. Et une fois nous identifier, nous travaillons ensemble avec management public body pour nous venir avec ban recommandations qui sont capables d'adresser ce risque là. Et là, ce training là, il vient à pic parce que normalement, pour deux nous officiers, moyens, outils pour faire corruption risk identification, analysis et comment pour traiter ce risque là plus bien. Parce que nous avons une expérience, mais normalement nous sommes capables d'en prendre avec deux ex-directeurs de prévention de ICAC Hong Kong. Et sa formation-là est funded par European Union.
C'est bien l'Union européenne qui finance, en accord avec le ministère des Finances et du Développement économique de Maurice, dans un cadre très vaste de coopération que nous avons depuis des décennies. Cette formation en particulier rentre à tous les niveaux de la coopération de l'Union européenne avec votre pays. À partir de 2012 notamment, l'Union européenne appuie le budget de l'État directement. Ce budget est évalué chaque année afin de confirmer que les conditions sont réunies pour continuer à débourser des fonds du Fonds européen de développement. Et une des questions qui est centrale dans ce déboursement, dans la décision d'accorder de nouveaux fonds au pays, c'est justement de vérifier qu'au niveau de la gouvernance économique et que les réformes se mettent en place avec des critères qui sont extrêmement stricts, notamment de lutte contre la corruption. Donc cette formation, pour nous, l'Union européenne, rentre directement dans l'objectif central de la coopération avec Maurice.
I used to work for the Hong Kong Independent Commission Against Corruption. Ever since joining the Hong Kong ICAC, I have been involved in corruption prevention work. So in the first few years, people asked me, can corruption really be prevented? In the first few years, we are not sure, because corruption being, people talk about people's greed and so on. It's a lateral thing. But then eventually we find that corruption indeed can be prevented through what we call a systemic approach. That means we will reform public sector procedures, public sector policies to make them transparent, accountable, fair, and well publicized, well known to the public, reduce bureaucracy and things like that. Then that way you will remove some of the corruption opportunities, and in so doing reduce corruption. We do this by what we call assignment reviews. Every year we completed about 100 reviews. We made hundreds of recommendations to government, and they are all well accepted, the recommendations. One thing we have been very lucky is that in Hong Kong we actually have the legal powers to do these corruption reviews, corruption prevention reviews. That means we have the power to barge into any government organizations, any public bodies, and make demands to see their books, to see their procedural manuals, make recommendations, and they are expected to follow our recommendations. So in Hong Kong, that's probably make things easier. We also prepare what we call the best practice packages on things like public procurement, land administration, and so on. The idea is to distribute these best practice pamphlets to public bodies, to government departments, so that when they deliver their public services, they will follow proper procedures.